For 18 years, my bestie Sarah and I were just regular humans. And then, all of a sudden, we both awakened our werewolf blood. She ended up mated to Logan, like the most powerful alpha around. And me? Fate, or whatever, paired me up with Ethan, an alpha from a pack under Logan's. The day of our mating ceremony, Sarah was all like, "Go on, enjoy Ethan's mark." I mean, the guy had an 8-pack and was drop-dead gorgeous. But almost a year into our mating, Ethan still hadn't marked me. I cried to Sarah, "What's the point of a mate who won't even mark me?" I never expected Sarah to burst into tears too. Logan and our genes aren't compatible. He can't get me pregnant. I want to break our mate bond too. So, just like that, we hatched a plan to escape. After a car accident, both alphas' mates vanished. It wasn't until we started our new lives that we found out. We were both pregnant. After my bestie Sarah and I both got our wolf on, we both ended up mated to super strong alphas. But my alpha, Ethan, wouldn't mark me, and Sarah's alpha couldn't get her pregnant with a pup. So, we decided then and there, break the mate bonds and get the hell out of the werewolf world. Where do you think you're going? Ethan's voice, cold as a winter blade, came from behind me. I didn't turn around, just kept walking towards the garage. Shadow Ridge headquarters. To see Sarah. That silly woman again, he scoffed. Logan spoils her rotten. My hand froze on the car door handle, turned to face the man who hadn't really looked at me in a year. 8 months ago, Sarah and I awakened our werewolf blood on the same day. We were at a cafe complaining about our crappy love lives when suddenly we smelled strong alpha pheromones in the air. I smelled pine and snowy mountains. Sarah smelled cedar and strong liquor. Fated mates, Sarah cried, telling me it was a gift from the heavens, that we could finally have our fairy tale romance. But fairy tales are all lies. I only have one mate, I said, looking straight into Ethan's cold gray eyes. And that's you. But clearly you don't feel the same. He frowned. What do you mean? 1 year. I held up a finger. A whole year and you haven't marked me. You won't even touch me. Ivy, last month I had a fever so high I almost died. My voice started to shake. You know where I was? In the ER. Alone. And where were you? In a meeting, discussing the pack's finances. Ethan's jaw tightened. I thought you'd come. Even for a minute, I said with a bitter smile. But no, not even a phone call. I was busy. Busy. I almost laughed out loud. Too busy to care if your fated mate was dead or alive. He didn't answer, just stared at me like I was a stranger. Fine. I pulled open the car door. You don't care anyway. I forbid you to go to Shadow Ridge. On what grounds? I whirled around to glare at him. You're not my alpha. Those words hit him like a punch. Ethan's face instantly turned ashen. His alpha, dominance, washed over me like a wave. But I didn't care anymore. Because you refused to mark me, I said, each word deliberate. So, by wolf law, we're just strangers. Something flickered in his eyes, but it was gone in an instant. Get in. Ethan walked around to the driver's side. I'll take you. I was stunned. In a whole year, he'd never once offered to do anything for me. No need. I can drive myself. I said, get in. This time his voice had a command in it. I bit my lip but got into the passenger seat. The moment the car started, Ethan's pheromones filled the small space. The scent of pine and snowy mountains made my wolf want to submit, just like that. But I forced myself to stay clear-headed. After today, none of this would be mine anymore. What are you two going to talk about? Ethan suddenly asked after 10 minutes. Girl, talk, I said, looking out the window. You wouldn't be interested. Like what? I turned to look at him, like how to break a mate bond. The steering wheel jerked slightly in his hands. The car nearly slammed into the guardrail. What did you say? You heard me, I said calmly. I'm going to break our mate bond. Ethan slammed on the brakes. The car screeched to a halt on the side of the road. He turned and stared hard at me. You wouldn't dare. Why wouldn't I? I met his burning gray eyes. You don't want me anyway. Instead of torturing each other like this, let's just make a clean break. His breathing became ragged. You think breaking a mate bond is a joke? I know it'll be painful, I nodded, but it's better than this. Ethan reached out, as if to touch my face, but stopped midair. His hand trembled slightly before he finally lowered it. Why? His voice was hoarse. Why would you do this? I looked at the man who had broken my heart for a year. Because I'm tired, Ethan. I can't take this one-sided love anymore. Dead silence filled the car. After a long while, he started the car again. I won't agree to it. You don't have a choice. I leaned back against the seat and closed my eyes. An alpha who refuses to mark his mate has no say in the matter, according to wolf law. We didn't speak for the rest of the drive, but I could feel the anger radiating off Ethan and something else too. But after today he could rest easy, because I was going to see Sarah to break our mate bond for good. Ivy? Oh my God, you've lost so much weight. Sarah rushed over and hugged me, her eyes full of concern. I almost burst into tears in her arms. 3 months apart, and my best friend was still as beautiful as ever. Golden hair, blue eyes, like a perfect doll. But she looked worn out too. Has Logan been messing with you again? I grabbed her hands to check. Let me see if you're hurt. No, Sarah quickly shook her head. He's been really good to me. It's just her voice trailed off. Just what? Let's go inside first, Sarah said, pulling me towards her private lounge. Ethan didn't come with you? He drove me here, but he didn't come up. Sarah's eyes lit up. Is he finally starting to care about you? Igova bittersmile. Care? He just doesn't want me embarrassing him. The lounge was filled with flowers and gifts from Logan. Pink roses, Tiffany jewelry boxes, all sorts of limited edition bags. It looked like Sarah was living the dream. Sit. She poured me some tea. You look terrible. Thanks for the compliment. I picked up my teacup. Sarah, I need to ask you something. What is it? What do you think about breaking a mate bond? The teacup clattered from Sarah's hand and shattered on the floor. Ceramic shards and tea scattered everywhere. But she didn't move to clean it up, just stared straight at me. What did you say? I'm going to break my mate bond with Ethan, I repeated calmly. It's been a year and he's never marked me. He won't even touch me. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes. No, that's not fated mates. Aren't supposed to be like this. Logan holds me every night when we sleep. He says I'm his treasure, his everything. That's great, I said, a little confused. So why are you crying? Because Sarah suddenly broke down sobbing. Because he said we'll never have children. I was stunned. What do you mean? 3 years. Sarah clutched her head, crying her eyes out. For 3 whole years, we've every day, but I've never gotten pregnant. Logan took me to the best wolf healer, and the result was she was sobbing too hard to speak. The healer said Logan can't get me pregnant. Sarah looked up, her face streaked with tears. His genes aren't compatible with mine. We can never have children. My heart sank. Sarah's biggest dream was to have a child. Before she awakened, an abusive ex had caused her to miscarry, and doctors said she might never get pregnant again. When she found out Logan was her fated mate, she was ecstatic like a little kid, saying she could finally have a family of her own. And now, what did Logan say? He said it doesn't matter, that we're happy just the 2 of us, Sarah said, wiping her tears. But Ivy, I really want a child. When I see other she-wolves pregnant, it feels like a knife twisting in my gut. I went over and hugged her. I get it. So when you said you wanted to break your mate bond, Sarah sobbed in my arms. I've thought about it too. Without Logan, maybe I could find an alpha who could give me children. We held each other and cried for a long time. Misery loves company, right? But breaking a mate bond is incredibly painful, Sarah said, wiping away her tears. And the success rate is really low. I know, I nodded, but it's better than suffering like this. Sarah suddenly sat up straight, a glint in her eye. Ivy, what's wrong? Do you know about suppression potions? I frowned. What? I heard about a potion that can temporarily nullify the mate bond, Sarah said, gripping my hand. If we both take it and then run far enough away, Sarah, what are you saying? Her eyes grew brighter. Let's leave together. Sarah stood up. Run away from here, away from these damn alphas. Go somewhere they can't find us and start over. I looked at her, a flicker of hope rising in my chest. Can we really do that? Of course, we can. Sarah nodded firmly. You break yours, I'll break mine. We're best friends. Ride or die, right? I was moved by her words. I stood up and held out my hand. Okay, deal. Sarah took my hand. Deal. But just then her expression changed. Wait, Ivy. What is it? Sarah bit her lip, looking hesitant. That nullification potion I mentioned, I'm not actually sure where to get it. But what? She took a deep breath. But I can steal ovulation-inducing drugs from Logan's private healer. I didn't get what she was saying. What good are ovulation drugs? A sly look flashed in Sarah's eyes. If we're going to run away, we need a good excuse, don't we? Ovulation drugs. I stared at Sarah. What are you planning? Think about it, Sarah paced the room. If I suddenly get pregnant, how happy would Logan be? He'd let his guard down. Think our bond is even stronger. I was starting to see her point. And then you accidentally miscarry. He'll feel sorry for you and won't suspect you're trying to escape. Exactly. Sarah clapped her hands excitedly. And we can say we're too heartbroken and need to get away for a bit to clear our heads. That would definitely make it easier to get away, I nodded. What about me? You'll just say Ethan finally came to his senses and wants to take you on a honeymoon, Sarah winked. Alphas are so arrogant anyway, they'd never think we'd dare betray them. We spent 2 hours working out the details. I'll disappear first, I said, drawing a route on a map. Car crash off a cliff, no body found. You leave a week after me, using the miscarriage as an excuse. How much cash should we get? At least $100,000 US. And fake IDs. I chewed on my pen. I have a friend, Rose, who does business on the border. She's got connections. Sarah's eyes lit up. Rose, the one who owns the antique shop. Yeah, she's helped me out a lot before. I marked a spot on the map. Here, a small mountain town, 300 kilometers from packed territory, far from the city, bad reception, hard to track. Sounds nice, Sarah leaned over the map. It has a lake, a forest, even a little chapel, like something out of a fairy tale. Seeing the hopeful look on her face, I felt a twinge of unease. Sarah, are you sure about this? Once we start, there's no turning back. I'm sure. She squeezed my hand. Ivy, we can open a little shop there, get a few cats, live a quiet life. No alphas controlling us, no pack rules. Okay. I tore up the plan and flushed it down the toilet. We move in 3 days. Sarah walked me downstairs. The moment the elevator doors opened, I saw Ethan. He was leaning against the wall, looking like he'd been waiting for You've been here all this time? I was a little surprised. Yeah. He pushed himself off the wall and stood up straight. Done talking? All done. Sarah gave me a knowing wink, then smiled sweetly at Ethan. Ethan, you have to take good care of Ivy. She's gotten so thin lately. Ethan's gaze lingered on my face for a moment. I know. That answer caught me off guard. Usually, he'd just give a cold nod or ignore her completely. After we got in the car, Ethan didn't start the engine right away. What did you two talk about? I looked out the window. Girl stuff. What kind of girl stuff? When did you get so nosy? I turned to look at him. Just complaining about our mates, you know? Sarah said Logan's been too busy with work lately, neglecting her. Ethan frowned. Logan's neglecting Sarah? Yeah, I said, making it up as I went. Men are all the same. Once they have you, they stop caring. Silence in the car for a few seconds. I haven't neglected you, Ethan said suddenly. I almost choked on my own spit. What? I said, I haven't neglected you. His voice was low. Just what? He didn't answer, just started the car. After driving for 10 minutes, Ethan spoke again. Don't go to Shadow Ridge headquarters so often anymore. Why not? It's not good for you. His fingers tapped the steering wheel. A 6-hour round trip is too tiring. My eyes widened as I stared at him. Was this the same Ethan I knew? Are you worried about me? We're mates, he said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I should be worried about you. Then why don't you mark me? That question brought dead silence back to the car. At a red light, Ethan turned to look at me. Ivy, never mind. I looked away. Anyway, I probably won't be going to headquarters for the next few decades. What do you mean? Nothing. I tried to sound casual. Just feel like I shouldn't bother Sarah so much. She and Logan are so good together, I feel like a third wheel when I visit. Ethan's gaze became unreadable. You're being very compliant. What? You're very compliant today, he said, reaching out. You didn't argue with me. Didn't lose your temper. I looked at his outstretched hand, wondering what he wanted. Give me your hand. I hesitated for a moment, then placed my hand in his palm. Ethan's hand was large and warm. His thumb gently stroked the back of my hand, and a faint alpha pheromone wafted out. It was comforting. My wolf instinctively relaxed. Ethan! What is it? You're acting really weird today. His hand paused for a second, then resumed its gentle stroking. How so? I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but it just felt off. The normally cold and distant alpha was actually waiting for me, worrying about my health, even comforting me. Green light, I reminded him. Only then did Ethan let go of my hand and continue driving, but my palm still held his warmth, and that scent of pine and snowy mountains. Ivy. What? If there's ever anything you want, tell me. I looked at his profile, a mix of complicated emotions swirling inside me. What I want, you can't give me. Try me. I almost blurted out, I want your mark, but stopped myself just in time. Nothing in particular, I said, leaning back in my seat. Ethan, are you on something today? He let out a low chuckle. It was the first time I'd ever heard him laugh. But in 3 days, when I was gone for good, none of this would matter anymore. The first night after he made our plan, I couldn't sleep a wink. I just tossed and turned, my head spinning with escape routes and all the things that could go wrong. What if we got caught? What if the fake death thing didn't work? What if Ethan came after me? Around 2 a.m, I heard movement next door. Ethan was back. His footsteps were light, but with my super sharp hearing now, I heard every single one. Water ran in the bathroom. 10 minutes later, everything went quiet. But I still couldn't sleep. Ivy. Ethan's voice came through the wall. I squeezed my eyes shut, pretending to be asleep. I know you're awake. His voice was closer now, like he was right outside my door. Your heartbeat's too fast. Damn, werewolf hearing. Just can't sleep, I mumbled, rolling over. Leave me alone. The sound of the doorknob turning. Just because I didn't lock it doesn't mean you can come in. Ethan was already pushing the door open. Moonlight streamed in through the window, outlining him. Broad shoulders, narrow waist, wearing black pajama pants, his chest bare. My breath hitched. You're tense, he said, walking over to the bed. Why? I'm not. You're lying. Ethan sat down on the edge of the bed. Tell me what's wrong. I could smell the fresh scent of his shower, mixed with that familiar pine and snowy mountain smell. My wolf started to stir. Just thinking about stuff. I scooted further in. Go back to your own room. What stuff? Work stuff. Ethan was quiet for a moment. Then he let out some calming pheromones. Faint, like mist in a forest. My muscles relaxed without me even trying, and my eyelids started to feel heavy. Sleep, his voice was soft. I'm here. That night, I slept more soundly than I had in ages. The next morning, Ethan was already gone. I immediately drove to the antique district on the outskirts of town. Rose's shop was tucked away in an alley at the very end. The sign was small, timeless antiques. Ivy. Rose looked surprised to see me. What are you doing here? And you don't look so good. Rose, I need your help. Rose was my college roommate. After graduation, she opened this antique shop. She knew some secrets about me I didn't want anyone else to know. What kind of help? She poured me a cup of tea. Judging by your face, it's nothing small. I'm leaving, I said straight up. Leaving for good. Rose's hand froze. Because of that, Alpha? Yeah. She sighed. I told you, werewolf guys are nothing but trouble. Rose, I need cash, a fake ID, and I hesitated. If I go missing, can you help me arrange things for afterwards? How much money? 800,000. Rose didn't even blink. No problem. When do you need it? Today. She stood up and walked to her safe. The ID will take 3 days. As for afterwards, I want to go to that little mountain town. The one you mentioned before, with the lake and the forest. Pine Valley. Rose looked back at me. It's pretty remote out there. The more remote, the better. Okay, I have friends there. Rose took out an envelope stuffed with cash. Ivy, are you sure about this? I'm sure. If that Alpha comes looking for you here, he won't, I said, taking the envelope. Rose, thank you. Don't mention it. She gave me a quick hug. Take care. It was afternoon when I got home. Ethan wasn't back yet. I hid the cash in the deepest part of my closet, then started packing some essentials. Can't take too much, or it'll look suspicious. At 8 o'clock, Ethan came home. Where'd you go today, he asked. Downtown shopping, I said, busy making dinner in the kitchen. Bought a few things. What did you buy? Girly stuff, I said vaguely. You don't want the details. Sure enough, Ethan didn't press it. While we were eating, I secretly watched him. 8-pack abs, broad shoulders, long fingers. Appearance-wise, he really was the perfect alpha. Too bad, what are you looking at? Ethan looked up at me. Nothing. I looked down and kept eating. That night, I couldn't sleep again. This time it wasn't because I was nervous, but because I didn't want to leave. Tomorrow the plan started. I might never see Ethan again. Even though he was cold, even though he refused to mark me, he was still my fated mate. The moonlight was bright, filtering through the curtains onto my bed. I could hear Ethan's steady breathing from the next room. I don't know what came over me, but I got up and walked towards his room. The door wasn't locked. Ethan was lying on his back, his chest rising and falling with each breath. Moonlight traced the lines of his abs. An 8-pack. Sarah had said that physical contact with a fated mate was an incredible experience. I'd always wondered what that felt like. Tiptoeing to the side of the bed, I reached out a trembling hand. The moment my fingertips brushed his abs, a jolt shot through me. Oh, my God, was this what the mate bond felt like? I couldn't stop myself from pressing my palm against him. Ethan's muscles tensed slightly under my hand. He was awake. Ivy. His voice was a little hoarse. I yanked my hand back like I'd been burned, but he caught it. What are you doing? I was just what? Ethan sat up, pressing my hand against his chest. Wanted to touch me? My face was on fire. Sorry, I didn't mean to. No need to apologize. His other hand cupped my cheek. You can touch me. Anytime. I looked into his eyes. There was a tenderness there I'd never seen before. Ethan, Never mind. I pulled my hand away. I'm going back to my room. Why leave? Because tomorrow, I almost blurted it out. Because tomorrow you'll go back to being your usual cold self. Ethan was silent for a long time. What if I don't? I looked at him, a tiny spark of hope flickering inside me. But my head told me it was too late. Good night, Ethan. As I reached the door, I couldn't help but look back. He was still sitting on the bed, his gaze locked on me. You ever wonder what other alphas' bodies are like? I suddenly blurted out. Oh God, that question's so weird. Why do you ask? A flicker of something I couldn't read crossed Ethan's eyes. Just curious, I bit my lip. Wonder if other alphas have 8-packs after saying that. I practically bolted back to my room. Behind me, I heard Ethan's low chuckle. I'd barely closed my door when I heard footsteps behind me. Before I could even turn around, a strong arm slammed me against the door. Ethan, you, other alphas have 8-packs. His voice was right by my ear, dangerously low. You really want to know? I could feel his hot breath on my neck. I was just talking. Ethan's hand pressed against the door beside my head, trapping me between him and the wood. Then why were you touching my abs? I speak. His voice was even hoarser. Why did you touch me? My heart was hammering like it wanted to jump out of my chest. Because I was curious, I said, summoning my courage and turning to face him. Because you never let me touch you. Moonlight spilled in through the window, lighting up Ethan's face. His gray eyes were burning with a fire I'd never seen before. When did I ever not let you touch me? Every time I get close to you, you pull away, my voice trembled, like I have the plague or something. Silly woman. Ethan's hand cupped my cheek. I wasn't avoiding you. Then what was it? I was holding back. His thumb brushed my lips, holding back from marking you. I froze. Why hold back? Ethan didn't answer. Instead, he lowered his head, his lips brushing against my neck, right where the mark should be. My body went rigid. What are you doing? I'm thinking, his voice was muffled. Since you're so curious about other alphas, maybe I should let you experience what a real mate is like first. The words were barely out of his mouth before his canines sank into my neck. The sharp pain made me cry out, but right after it came a wave of pleasure I'd never felt before. Ethan's pheromones flooded into my veins like a tidal wave, the scent of pine and snowy mountains becoming intense and overpowering. My wolf roared back inside me. Ethan! I grabbed his shoulders, my nails digging into his muscles. Are you crazy? He didn't stop. His canines bit deeper, suckling at my blood. Every sensation sent shivers down my spine. I could feel the mate bond forging between us. The connection so strong, so deep, like two souls merging. Enough, my voice was weak. Ethan, enough, he finally let go. I sagged against him, my neck throbbing with a fiery pain. Look. Ethan stroked the wound on my neck, his voice laced with satisfaction. A perfect mark. With a trembling hand, I touched the spot. It was wet, still bleeding. But what shocked me more was the feeling of connection. I could feel Ethan's emotions, his desire, his possessiveness. I pushed him away, stumbling towards the mirror. In the mirror, I saw a clear bite mark on my neck, the skin around it red. This was an alpha's mark. Why? I whirled around to glare at him. Why mark me now? Ethan pulled his pajama pants back on, his expression calm again. Didn't you say I refused to mark you? You did refuse. My voice shook with anger. For a year. You didn't touch me for a whole year. That wasn't refusing, he said, walking closer. That was waiting. Waiting for what? I shot back, waiting for the right time. I almost laughed out of sheer frustration. The right time? What's the right time? Ethan looked at me, his eyes holding a depth I couldn't understand. When you truly needed me. I've always needed you. I yelled. I've needed you from day one. But what about you? You just sat there like a block of ice, watching me die a little inside. Ivy, don't say my name. I pressed my hand to the mark, which was still throbbing painfully. What's the point of you marking me now? There's a point. Ethan closed in on me, step by step. At least now you truly belong to me. Belong to you? I scoffed. When did I not belong to you? From the moment the fated mate bond formed, I was yours. But you didn't want me. I want you. His voice was soft, but every word was clear. I've wanted you since the first moment I saw you. I looked at him, utterly confused. Then why didn't you touch me for a whole year? Ethan reached out to touch my face, but I flinched away. Because some things you can't just do them because you want to. What do you mean? I mean, his hand stopped midair. Sometimes not marking you was to protect you. Protect me? Protect me from what? Ethan fell silent. After a long moment, he finally spoke. From myself. I didn't understand what he meant, but there was no time to figure it out now. The mark was done, the mate bond established. Tomorrow's plan, Ivy. Ethan suddenly grabbed my wrist. Promise me one thing. What? Don't leave me. My heart slammed against my ribs. Did he know? Impossible. Our plan was perfect. Why would I leave you? I said, trying to sound calm. You just marked me. We're real mates now. Ethan stared into my eyes, like he was trying to see into my soul. Yes, he finally said. Real mates. He let go of my wrist and turned towards the door. Get some rest. Tomorrow, he paused. Tomorrow's going to be a busy day. He left, leaving me alone in the room. I touched the mark on my neck. It still ached dully, but my heart ached more. Liar, I said to the empty room. You liar. For a whole year I thought he refused to mark me because he was disgusted by me. And now he was waiting for the right time. What was the right time? Why was now the right time? I sat on the edge of the bed, my mind a complete mess. Should I still go through with the plan tomorrow? Now that we were marked, the mate bond was 100 times stronger. If I disappeared, Ethan would feel immense pain. And I would be in agony too. But the year of cold shoulders, the year of loneliness, the year my heart died a little, all of that was real. A mark couldn't erase all that pain. I lay down and closed my eyes. The wound on my neck was a throbbing reminder of what just happened. Ethan had marked me, the night before I was planning to leave him. Was this a coincidence? Or did he know something? I woke up before dawn. The mark on my neck throbbed painfully and my whole body felt weak, like I had a low fever. This was the aftermath of being marked. I forced myself out of bed, quickly washed up, and changed into the clothes I'd laid out. Ethan was already gone. Breakfast was on the table. Fried eggs, toast, and a glass of warm milk. A note was tucked under the glass. Eat up. Get some rest. I stared at the note for a long time. Then I tore it up and threw it in the trash. At 9 o'clock sharp, I drove out of the city. My target was the winding mountain road, a stretch where accidents happen a lot. A text came in from Sarah. Everything's ready. Waiting for you. I replied, see you in an hour. Mountain road was narrow, with a sheer cliff on one side and a deep valley on the other. I pulled over at the prearranged spot and got my backpack from the trunk. The person Rose had arranged was already waiting. Miss Ivy, a man in a baseball cap, walked over. I'm Jack. Yeah. I handed him the car keys. Stick to the plan. Jack nodded and expertly checked over the car. Are you sure about this? Once you start, there's no turning back. I'm sure. He started the car and slowly drove it towards the cliff edge. Then, at the last second, he jumped out, letting the car plunge into the valley. With a deafening crash, the car exploded into flames at the bottom. That should look like an accident, Jack said, dusting off his hands. The cops won't get here for at least 2 hours. By then, there'll be nothing left to find. I stared at the flames in the valley, a sense of unreality washing over me. As far as anyone knew, Ivy was dead. Let's go. Jack shouldered my pack. Still got a 3-hour hike through the mountains. We followed a small trail deep into the forest. The weakness from being marked made every step an effort, but I gritted my teeth and kept going. Jack was a pro. He didn't leave a single trace. 3 hours later, we reached a hidden cave. Change of clothes. Jack handed me a set of hiking gear. From now on, you're Mary Wilson, a tourist here for a hike. I changed, put on a wig and sunglasses. The person in the reflection was a complete stranger. Good. Jack nodded, satisfied. The car's outside the cave. I'll drive you to Pine Valley. An hour later, we arrived at the small mountain town. It was just like Sarah had described. A lake, a forest, even a little chapel. Like something out of a fairy tale. Jack dropped me off in front of a small cabin by the lake. Miss Sarah's already inside waiting for you. Thanks. I paid him the rest of the money. Appreciate it. No problem. Jack drove off. Good luck to you both. I pushed open the cabin door. Ivy. Sarah threw herself into my arms. You finally made it. I was worried sick. She was still as beautiful as ever, her golden hair cascading over her shoulders. But her eyes showed a fatigue she couldn't hide. How are you? Did the plan go smoothly? I asked. Perfectly, Sarah said, pulling me down to sit. Logan thinks I'm at a spa resort resting. He won't suspect anything for at least a month. I nodded, then noticed her staring at my neck. What's wrong? Ivy, Sarah's expression was complicated. Your neck. I instinctively touched the mark. Ethan marked you. Sarah's voice trembled slightly. When? Last night, I answered simply. The night before the plan. Oh my God, Sarah covered her mouth. Then how are you feeling now? Breaking a mark is agonizing. I was feeling pain, like something was tearing my soul apart, but I didn't want to admit it. I'm okay, I said, trying to sound calm. Better than I expected. Sarah studied my face carefully. Ivy, did you know? She started, then hesitated. Know what? Ethan, he's been going crazy looking for you. My heart slammed against my ribs. What do you mean? Logan told me, Sarah said, taking my hand. After news of your accident reached the pack, Ethan nearly lost it. He shifted into his wolf form and searched the woods for 2 whole days and nights, combing every inch of ground. I tried to stay calm, and then he got seriously injured because of it. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes. Heard he fell off a cliff, got hurt real bad. Logan said he was dying. A sharp pain suddenly shot through my chest. It was the mate bond reacting to his pain. Ethan was hurt? Badly hurt? Ivy. Sarah looked at me, worried. You look awful. I'm fine, I said, forcing back the pain. What does his getting hurt have to do with me? But no buts, I cut her off. Sarah, we've come this far. We can't turn back. Sarah bit her lip. I know, but seeing you in so much pain, I'm not in pain. You're lying. Sarah's gaze sharpened. Ivy, you love him. You've always loved Ethan. I was silent. Yes, I loved him. I'd fallen for that cold, arrogant alpha from the first time I met him. But what good did love do? The year of coldness was real. The year of loneliness was real. The year my heart died was also real. No going back now, I said, standing up and walking to the window. Since I chose to leave, I won't regret it. Really? Sarah's voice came from behind me. Then why are your hands shaking? Looked down at my hands. They were indeed trembling. That's because I'm weak, I said, turning to face her. Side effects of a broken mark. Sarah walked over and gently touched the mark on my neck. That's a deep mark, she said softly. Ivy, I've never seen a mark that deep. So Ethan genuinely wants you, Sarah said, looking into my eyes. An alpha who didn't love you wouldn't leave a mark that deep. I pushed her hand away. It's too late. Is it really too late? I looked at Sarah, a sense of unease creeping over me. Sarah, what are you thinking? She bit her lip, a strange look in her eyes. I'm thinking, she paused for a long time. You're not having second thoughts, are you? I'm not having second thoughts, I said, looking firmly at Sarah. We've come this far, we have to keep going. Sarah nodded, but worry still clouded her eyes. Then let's start our new life, she said, pulling me on a tour of the cabin. Look, 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, and a little garden. The cabin was simple but cozy. Outside the window was the lake and the forest. It really did look like a place from a fairy tale. It's nice, I said, putting down my backpack. How long can we stay here? As long as you want, Sarah said, her eyes shining. Rose took care of everything. The rent's paid for a year. For the next 2 weeks, we lived a secluded life. Morning walks by the lake, afternoons gardening, evenings reading by the fireplace. No pack rules, no alpha dominance, no complicated politics, just peace and freedom. But my health was getting worse. The pain from the broken mark didn't lessen. It actually got stronger. I'd wake up every morning around 3. The tearing pain so bad I almost passed out. Ivy, you need to see a doctor, Sarah said, looking at me with concern. You look terrible. I'm fine, I said, forcing myself to get up. Just need time to adjust. No. Sarah shook her head firmly. I've already contacted a wolf healer. He's coming this afternoon. A wolf healer? I frowned. Sarah, we're hiding from the packs. We can't expose ourselves. I know. She patted my hand reassuringly. But this healer is reliable. He specializes in treating wolves on the run. Totally confidential. At 3 in the afternoon, a middle-aged man arrived at the cabin. He looked ordinary, but his eyes were professional and sharp. I'm Dr. Green, he said, putting down his medical bag. Who needs an examination? Her, Sarah pointed at me. Her mark was broken 2 weeks ago, and she's been in a lot of pain. Dr. Green had me lie down on the bed and started examining the mark on my neck. This is a deep mark, he frowned. An alpha's mark. Yes, the one who marked you is very powerful, he continued, examining it. Breaking a mark this deep would indeed be very painful. He took out some medical instruments and began a more detailed check. When was your last period? Do you remember? I paused, thinking hard. Last time, when was it? About 3 weeks ago? I wasn't sure. Why do you ask? Dr. Green didn't answer. Just took out more instruments. I need to take a blood sample. 10 minutes later, he walked over to Sarah. Do you need an examination as well? Me. Sarah looked surprised. I wasn't marked. I should be fine, right? Have you had any discomfort lately? Nausea, vomiting, fatigue? Sarah thought for a moment. Actually, a little, she said, touching her stomach. I've been feeling like throwing up these past few days. Thought it was just not being used to the local food and water. Let me check you too, then. Dr. Green took Sarah's blood as well. When will we get the results? I asked. Soon, he said, starting to use a portable device. About half an hour. Sarah and I sat in the living room waiting. What do you think the problem is? Sarah asked nervously. Probably just side effects from the broken mark, I reassured her. What about you? Are you really feeling nauseous? Yeah, Sarah nodded. And I've been wanting to sleep a lot lately, always feeling tired. Half an hour later, Dr. Green came out of the room. His expression was complicated. The results are in, he said, sitting across from us. Ladies, I have some unexpected news for you. What news? A bad feeling crept into my heart. You're both pregnant. Dead silence filled the living room. Sarah and I looked at each other, shock mirrored in both our eyes. Impossible! I was the first to react. I was only marked 2 weeks ago, and the mark is already broken. A broken mark doesn't affect an existing embryo, Dr. Green explained. And according to the test results, You've been pregnant for at least 3 weeks. 3 weeks? So I was pregnant before he marked me? But how was that possible? Ethan had never touched me. Miss Sarah's situation is even more peculiar. Dr. Green turned to her. You're 6 weeks pregnant, and the fetus is developing very well. Sarah's face turned pale. 6 weeks, but Logan said we could never have children. Logan? Dr. Green frowned. Logan, the leader of Shadow Ridge? Yes, Sarah nodded. The healer said our genes weren't compatible. Dr. Green was silent for a moment. Gene incompatibility can be helped along with medical intervention, he said slowly. For example, special drugs. Sarah and I looked at each other again. What kind of drugs? I asked. Drugs that help gene fusion, usually colorless and tasteless, added to food or drinks. Dr. Green looked at us. Have either of you taken anything special recently? Sarah's face grew even paler. Calming tea, she said, her voice trembling. Logan made me calming tea every night. That was likely the carrier, Dr. Green nodded. As for Miss Ivy, I haven't taken any medication, I said firmly. Then it might have been through other means. Dr. Green looked at me. Like pheromone contact or skin contact. I remembered that night. The nights Ethan had soothed me to sleep with his pheromones. And that last night when I had touched his abs. Can drugs be absorbed through the skin? I asked. Certain drugs can, Dr. Green nodded. Especially under the influence of alpha pheromones. Absorption is faster. Sarah and I were both silent. What did this mean? Our pregnancies weren't accidents. Dr. Green, I took a deep breath. Could I ask you to keep this confidential? Of course. Professional ethics. Thank you. I walked him to the door. If anyone comes asking about us, I don't know anything. Dr. Green nodded understandingly. But ladies, wolf pups are precious, especially pureblood pups. You need to be careful. After he left, Sarah and I sat in the living room, speechless for a long time. Ivy, Sarah finally said. We're pregnant. Yes. Do you know what this means? Of course I knew. It meant our escape might have been a setup from the start. It meant Logan and Ethan might have known we were leaving all along. It meant we were never truly free. Sarah, I looked at her. We might have to split up. Split up? Sarah shot up from the couch. Why would we split up? I looked at her panicked expression, the suspicion in my heart growing heavier. Sarah, do you think any of this is normal? What? Our pregnancies, I said, enunciating each word. Logan said your genes weren't compatible, yet you're pregnant. Ethan never touched me, yet I'm pregnant too. Sarah's face turned pale. Maybe it's fate? Fate? I scoffed. Sarah, since when did you become so naive? I don't understand what you mean. Then let me be blunter. I walked up to her. We've been tricked. Tricked from the very beginning. Sarah took a step back. What are you talking about? Logan made you calming tea every night, right? Yes, he did. Dr. Green said that was likely the carrier for fertility drugs, I said, looking her in the eyes. Which means Logan has been secretly drugging you to get you pregnant. Sarah shook her head. Impossible. Logan loves me. He wouldn't lie to me. Loves you? I almost laughed out loud. If he loved you, why would he lie about your genes being incompatible? If he loved you, why would he secretly drug you instead of just telling you the truth? Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes. Maybe he wanted to surprise me. Surprise you? I cut her off. Sarah, wake up. This isn't a surprise, it's a conspiracy. I started pacing the room, the clues in my mind gradually fitting together. And our escape, I turned to her. Don't you think it went a little too smoothly? What do you mean? Jack and his team, professional as special ops. Everything rose arranged, precise as a military operation. I ticked off points on my fingers. We didn't encounter any pursuers on the mountain trail, and no one has come looking for us since we got here." Sarah's face grew increasingly grim. "And Dr. Green," I continued my analysis, "a doctor who specializes in providing medical services to runaway wolves? Sarah, doesn't that setup strike you as a bit odd?" "Ivy, you're overthinking things." "Overthinking?" I walked to the window. "Look outside. This place is so remote, but the power supply is normal, the internet signal is good, and we even get regular deliveries of supplies. Does this look like a forgotten mountain town to you?" Sarah was silent. "This is more like a safe house," I said, turning to face her. "A safe house prepared specifically for us." "You mean, we never successfully escaped?" My voice turned icy. "We've been under someone else's control this whole time." Sarah collapsed onto the sofa. "But why? Why would they do this?" I remembered that night a month ago. "Sarah, do you remember Logan's human secretary, Jessica?" "I remember." "Very pretty woman," Sarah nodded. "But she already left Shadow Ridge." "Why did she leave?" "Logan said she wanted to return to human society." I took a deep breath. "That's not the truth." Sarah looked at me, her eyes full of confusion. "A month ago, when I went to Shadow Ridge to find you, I accidentally overheard Ethan talking to his men." I began to recall that night. They were discussing Jessica's pregnancy. Pregnancy? Yes. Jessica was pregnant with Logan's half-blood pup. I watched Sarah's shocked expression. But Logan didn't want the child because he was worried it would affect his position in the pack. Sarah's face turned deathly pale. "Then that child was secretly sent away," I said coldly, "along with Jessica." Sarah covered her mouth, tears welling in her eyes. "But what does that have to do with us?" "A lot." I sat down next to her. "After I heard that secret, Logan found out. And then he threatened me, made me keep it a secret." I touched the mark on my neck. "That night, after I got home, I developed a high fever. I almost died." Sarah's eyes widened. "You mean Logan made Ethan give me suppressants?" My voice trembled. "To make sure I wouldn't reveal his secret." Dead silence filled the living room. After a long while, Sarah finally spoke. "So Ethan didn't mark you all this time because he was under Logan's control." I finished her sentence. "He didn't dare mark me because Logan wouldn't allow it." Sarah suddenly stood up. "No." She shook her head. "If Logan controlled Ethan, then why did Ethan end up marking you?" That question stumped me. "Yeah, why?" "Unless," Sarah's eyes lit up, "unless Ethan is no longer obeying Logan." I looked at her, a terrible guess forming in my mind. "Or," I said slowly, "or this whole thing was an act they cooked up together." Sarah's face turned pale again. "What do you mean?" "Think about our timeline," I began to analyze. "Logan gives you fertility drugs, gets you pregnant. Meanwhile, Ethan, without my knowledge, gets me pregnant through pheromones. And then we escape according to our plan," I sneered. "But in reality, every step we took was anticipated by them." Sarah's hands began to tremble. "You're saying our escape itself was part of their plan?" "Very likely," I nodded. 2 pregnant females running off with alpha pups. That's a huge crime in wolf law. Enough to kick up a massive political storm. Sarah seemed to understand something. "A political storm, exactly." I looked at her. "Sarah, what's your family status in the wolf packs?" "Very high. Second only to the alpha families." "That figures." I took a deep breath. "If you ran away pregnant with Logan's child, what would your family do?" Sarah's face turned deathly pale. They would declare war on Logan." "Precisely." I stood up. "And which side would Ethan's elite pack take?" Sarah looked at me, her eyes filled with fear. "If Ethan and Logan are working together, the elite pack would help Logan suppress my family. But what if Ethan and your family teamed up?" I proposed another possibility. 2 major packs united would be enough to overthrow Logan's rule. Sarah sank onto the sofa. So our pregnancies and escape were all to provide an excuse for this political struggle. I nodded. We're pawns, Sarah. We've been pawns all along. She started to cry. Then what about our friendship? Our freedom? I don't know. My heart ached too. Maybe the friendship is real, but freedom, we never truly had freedom. Just then, we heard a car engine outside. I walked to the window and looked out. A black SUV was parked by the lake. The car door opened, and a familiar figure stepped out. My heart sank. Sarah, I turned to her. Our guess might be right. Why? Pointed out the window. Because Ethan's here. Sarah, I hissed, keeping my voice low. Grab your stuff. We're going out the back. What? Sarah was still wiping her tears. Why? Ethan's here. I snatched my backpack. We have to leave now. Sarah rushed to the window, took one look, and her face went instantly white. What do we do? How did he find us here? My heart was pounding like it was going to explode. It has to be Dr. Green. I seethed. He must have told them where we were. Knock, knock, knock. The sound echoed through the cabin. Ivy. Ethan's voice, low and commanding, came through the wooden door. I know you're in there. Sarah and I stared at each other, fear in both our eyes. Open the door. Ethan's voice turned colder. Don't make me kick it in. The back door. I whispered. We run out the back. But before we could move, the back door was kicked open. 2 tall men walked in, exuding strong alpha pheromones. Elite pack guards, Sarah whispered, trembling. We were surrounded. Since you won't open the door, Ethan pushed open the front door and walked in. I'll let myself in. He looked much worse for wear. His usually pristine suit was wrinkled. He had stubble on his chin and dark circles under his eyes. But his alpha presence was still suffocatingly powerful. Ethan! Sarah spoke first, her voice shaking. How did you find us? Sarah. Ethan glanced at her, then his gaze landed on me. Congratulations on your pregnancy. Sarah's face turned even paler. How did you know? Dr. Green works for me, Ethan said flatly. I know every one of his clients. My heart sank to my stomach. Just as I thought, we'd been in their control from the very beginning. So you've been watching us this whole time? I asked coldly. Ethan turned to me, a complex emotion flickering in his eyes. Ivy. I'm not Ivy. I took a step back. You've got the wrong person. Ethan's brow furrowed. What? I said, I'm not Ivy. I forced myself to stay calm. My name is Mary Wilson. I'm just a regular human. Sarah looked at me, shocked. Ivy, what are you saying? I don't know you either. I didn't even glance at Sarah. We're just strangers who happen to be staying in the same house. Ethan's face darkened. Enough. He took a step forward, his alpha dominance washing over me like a wave. Don't play games with me. I'm not playing games. I gritted my teeth, fighting his presence. I really don't know you. Is that so? Ethan suddenly released a potent wave of his pheromones. The scent of pine and snowy mountains instantly filled the room. My body trembled uncontrollably. Damn mate bond. No matter how much I denied it, my body still reacted to his pheromones. Looks like your body is more honest than your mouth, Ethan sneered. My mate. I am not your mate. I practically screamed. I already broke that damn bond. Broke it. A dangerous glint flashed in Ethan's eyes. How did you break it? I couldn't speak, because I hadn't actually broken the mate bond. IV, Sarah tried to approach me. Don't be like this, shut up. I whirled on her. We don't know each other. Tears welled in Sarah's eyes. But we're best friends. I scoffed. What kind of friend sells out her friend to an alpha? I didn't sell you out. Sarah cried. I didn't know Dr. Green worked for Ethan. Enough, Ethan interrupted. Sarah, You're going back to Shadow Ridge. Logan is waiting for you. I'm not going back, Sarah shook her head. I'm staying with Ivy. That wasn't a request. Ethan's voice turned icy. It's an order. The two guards moved toward Sarah. Don't touch her. I stepped in front of Sarah. She's pregnant. I know. Ethan's voice was devoid of warmth. Logan's pup. Very precious. Sarah was led away by the guards. She kept looking back at me, her eyes filled with tears and reluctance. The room was left with just me and Ethan. Now we can talk properly, Ethan said, sitting down on the sofa. My mate. I'm not your mate, I said stubbornly. I broke the bond. Do you know what it takes to break a mate bond? Ethan leaned back, looking exhausted. Both mates have to take the severing potion at the same time and endure 3 days and nights of agony. I know. Did you take it? I was silent. I'm guessing not, Ethan sneered, because you never actually found a real severing potion. So what? I stuck my chin out. I still don't acknowledge you as my mate. Don't acknowledge me? Ethan suddenly stood up. Then what about this? He walked over to me, his fingers gently tracing the mark on my neck. Instantly, a jolt shot through my entire body. I couldn't help but tremble. This is the mark I left. Ethan's voice was right by my ear. A deep, permanent mark. That was an accident. I tried to push him away. You caught me off guard. An accident? Ethan grabbed my wrist. Then why did you touch my abs? My face flushed instantly. You were what? A dangerous light gleamed in Ethan's eyes. Curious about other alphas' bodies? No. He suddenly pinned me against the wall. Then why did you touch me? I couldn't speak. There was no explanation. Ivy, Ethan's voice softened. Come home. This is my home, I said stubbornly. I'm not going back with you. Are you sure? I'm sure. Ethan was silent for a long time. Then let me ask you one last question. He looked into my eyes. If I and your mate are supposedly so tight, why are you the one trying to break things? I froze. What do you mean? I mean, Ethan's eyes held a depth I couldn't fathom. Maybe you've misunderstood something. Misunderstood? I scoffed. What could I have possibly misunderstood? About Jessica. Ethan released me and took a step back. She's lost her influence. Logan doesn't need her anymore, and he doesn't need that half-blood pup either. I frowned. What do you mean? I mean, right now Logan needs Sarah more. Ethan's gaze became unreadable. He needs that pure-blood pup in her belly. So Sarah has to go back, Ethan looked at me. She's not safe here. Not safe. I almost laughed. And she'll be safe back with Logan. Safer than here. I didn't understand him. Ethan, what are you trying to say? He was silent for a long time. Some things I can't tell you right now, he finally said. But trust me, Sarah going back is the best option. I don't trust you, I shook my head. You alphas are all the same, full of lies. Ivy, don't say my name. I cut him off. You're taking Sarah, right? Fine, take her. But I'm not going back with you. Ethan looked at me, a pain I couldn't decipher in his eyes. Are you sure you want to stay here alone? I'm sure. Even if he paused. Even if you're pregnant. I touched my still flat stomach. I'll raise my child on my own. That's my child. Ethan's voice dropped, becoming gravelly. My bloodline. Your bloodline. I sneered. What right do you have to call it your bloodline? You never even touched me. Then, how did you get pregnant? I couldn't answer. Ivy, Ethan stepped closer. Do you really think I didn't want you? Didn't you? If I didn't want you, why would I mark you right before you planned to leave? His hand once again brushed the mark on my neck. If I didn't want you, why would I let you get pregnant with my child? I pushed his hand away. I don't know what game you're playing, but I'm not falling for it again. Ethan took a deep breath. Fine. If you want to stay here, then stay here. He turned towards the door. But I'll have people protect you. I don't need protection. You do, he said without turning back. Not for you, but for my child. He left, took Sarah and left me. For the next 2 months, I truly lived a secluded life. Ethan kept his promise and didn't bother me again, but I could feel people protecting me in secret. Sometimes when I walked by the lake, I'd see figures in the distant woods. Sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night and smell unfamiliar alpha pheromones. They didn't disturb me, just watched over me silently. My belly started to show. Werewolf pregnancies are shorter than human ones, only 6 months. Dr. Green came for regular checkups, always saying the fetus was developing well. A very strong alpha pup, he'd always say. Ethan will be very pleased. I never responded. Sarah would occasionally text me. I'm fine. Logan is being very gentle with me. The doctor said it's a boy. Logan is thrilled. What about you? How are you doing? I usually just replied with one word. Fine. But I wasn't fine. Every night, the longing from the mate bond nearly drove me insane. I missed Ethan's scent, his voice, even his coldness, but I wouldn't admit it until that sunny afternoon. I was watering flowers in the garden when Rose suddenly called. Ivy, her voice was trembling. I have some bad news for you. My heart suddenly dropped. What news? Sarah, something happened to Sarah. The phone slipped from my hand and clattered to the ground. I bent down to pick it up, my hand shaking violently. What do you mean? A car accident. Rose's voice was faint. Last night, on the way back to Shadow Ridge, the car went off a cliff. The world started to spin. How is she? Ivy, Rose started crying. She's dead. And the baby too. The phone slipped from my hand again. I knelt in the garden, feeling like my whole world had collapsed. Sarah was dead. My best friend, my sister, was dead. I cried my heart out. All night, I sat by the lake, hugging my knees. My mind was filled with memories of Sarah, us crying together, laughing together, planning our escape together. Now she was dead, and I hadn't even been able to protect her. When morning came, I made a decision. I was going back. Not back to Ethan, but back for revenge. Logan killed Sarah. I was going to make him pay. While packing, I found a letter Sarah had left. Ivy, if anything happens to me, please take care of yourself and the baby. Don't try to get revenge for me. It's too dangerous. I love you, my dear sister. I tore up the letter. Sarah didn't want me to get revenge, but I had to. I hired a car, preparing to return to Pack territory. But halfway there, the car was suddenly forced to stop. Several masked men rushed out and dragged me from the car. Don't hurt her, one of them said. She's pregnant. They took me to an abandoned warehouse. What do you want? I asked. Nothing, one of them said. Someone just paid us to kidnap you. Who? Don't know. Anonymous client. I was tied to a chair. A few hours later, the kidnappers started chatting. This woman's pretty good looking. Yeah, no wonder that Alpha is so worked up. Heard he's practically lost his mind looking for her. I knew they were talking about Ethan. You know what? I suddenly spoke. I'm going to kill someone. The kidnappers froze. Kill who? Logan, the leader of Shadow Ridge. My voice was calm. He killed my best friend. Are you crazy? That's the Alpha King. I don't care. I looked at them. I'm going to poison Logan. A slow-acting poison. Make him die in agony. You're a pregnant woman. How are you going to get close to Logan? I have my ways, I sneered. And then I'm going to kill that bastard Alpha Ethan. Make him die with me. Why kill your own mate? Because he's an accomplice. My voice was full of hatred. He's also responsible for Sarah's death. Just then, one of the kidnappers took off his mask. I saw his face and my heart nearly stopped. It was Ethan. Does that mean I don't have to die either? He looked at me, a tenderness in his eyes I'd never seen before. She's not dead, so does that mean I don't have to die either? My eyes widened as I stared at him. What do you mean? Sarah's not dead. Ethan walked towards me. The car accident was fake, and so was the news of her death. You're lying. I'm not lying. He untied the ropes on my hands. Sarah is very safe right now with her child. My mind was a complete mess. But Rose said, Rose works for us too, Ethan said, helping me stand up. It was all arranged by us, from start to finish. I looked at him, and suddenly something clicked. So this was all fake. Not all of it, Ethan said, caressing my cheek. My feelings for you are real. Your feelings for me are real. I pushed Ethan away. Then what was all that coldness for the past year? All that ignoring me? It was to protect you, Ethan said, looking into my eyes. Logan was watching us constantly. If he found out I cared too deeply for you, you would have been in danger. What danger? Used as leverage against me. Ethan's voice was soft, just like Jessica. I remembered that beautiful human secretary. Jessica, was she really pregnant? Yes, but not with Logan's child. Ethan sat down next to me. It was Marcus's, one of Logan's men. When Logan found out, he threatened to kill Jessica and the baby unless Marcus obeyed his commands. So you were worried that I would also? Yes, Ethan nodded. If Logan knew how important you were to me, he wouldn't have hesitated to use you. I was starting to understand. Then why did you mark me later? Because the plan had started, Ethan said, taking my hand. Sarah's family decided to fight back against Logan. They needed an excuse, a legitimate reason to overthrow his rule. So you got us pregnant and then let us run away? Yes, Ethan didn't deny it. 2. Pregnant females fleeing the pack with alpha pups. That's a major crime in wolf law. But if it could be proven that it was because of the alpha's cruelty and deceit, it would be a legal way to overthrow Logan's rule. I finished a sentence. Exactly. I was silent for a long time. Then what about my feelings? I finally asked. My pain, my despair, did none of that matter to you guys? Pain flickered in Ethan's eyes. It mattered, his voice choked. Every time I saw the disappointment in your eyes, every time I heard you cry, I wanted to give up the whole plan. Then why didn't you? Because if I didn't go through with it, you'd never be truly safe, Ethan caressed my cheek. Logan had to be overthrown, or he would have hurt you sooner or later. I don't understand. Why would Logan want to hurt me? Because you knew Jessica's secret. Ethan's voice turned icy. And also because you're my weakness. I remembered that night with the high fever that almost killed me. The suppressants. Logan forced me to give them to you. Ethan's hand was trembling. That night, I thought I was going to lose you. So you decided to fight back against him? Yes, Ethan nodded. From that moment on, I swore I would make Logan pay. Just then, the warehouse door was pushed open. A familiar figure walked in. Ivy. Sarah. I couldn't believe my eyes. Sarah, you're not dead. Of course not. Sarah ran over and hugged me, though faking that car crash really hurt. Faking? Yeah, Sarah winked. We put blood packs and a dummy body in the car, and then I slipped out the other side. Looking at Sarah, alive and well, tears welled up in my eyes. You jerk! I playfully hit her shoulder. I thought you were really dead. I cried all night. Sorry. Sarah hugged me tighter. But if we didn't do it, Logan wouldn't have let his guard down. So where have you been these past 2 months? At my family's safe house, Sarah said, patting her belly. My baby's fine. 6 months along already. I touched my own stomach. Mine too. Really? Sarah looked at my belly excitedly. Then our babies will be the same age. Seeing Sarah standing there, alive, My anger melted away into joy. So, what about Logan? I asked. What's happened to him? He's finished, Sarah sneered. 3 hours ago, the Pack Council passed a vote of no confidence against him. The charges were deceiving his mate, persecuting Pack members, and abusing his power. He was exiled. More than that, Ethan spoke up. He'll be stripped of all his alpha powers and exiled to the human world. And the Shadow Ridge Pack? Sarah's family is taking over for now, Sarah said with a smile, until a suitable heir is found. I looked at them, a mix of emotions swirling inside me. So it's all over. It's over. Ethan stood up and walked over to me. Ivy, come home. Home. Our home. He knelt on one knee. Marry me. Not because of the mate bond, not because of the baby, but because I love you. I looked at the man kneeling before me. A proud alpha kneeling for me. You love me. From the first moment I saw you, Ethan's voice was soft. When you worked at the flower shop, I used to walk by every day just to catch a glimpse of you. We hadn't even awakened our mate bond back then. No, he nodded. I didn't fall in love with my mate. I fell in love with you, Ivy. Tears streamed down my face again. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I was afraid, Ethan said, taking my hand. Afraid I wasn't good enough for you. Afraid of hurting you. Afraid of losing you. Sarah started cheering from the side. Say yes already. He's even given up his alpha pride for you. I looked into Ethan's sincere eyes. Okay, I nodded. I'll marry you. Ethan stood up and pulled me into a tight hug. Thank you, he whispered in my ear. Thank you for giving me a chance. But there's one condition. I pushed him back slightly. From now on, no keeping secrets from me. I promise. And you have to apologize to me for being so cold this past year. I'm sorry, Ethan said earnestly. Forgive me. That's more like it. I nodded, satisfied. Sarah clapped her hands. Great. So we're still family. Family. I looked at her. You and Logan, we've officially broken the mate bond, Sarah shrugged. It was painful, but worth it. So what about you and the baby? The baby is mine, Sarah said, patting her belly. As for me, she looked at Ethan. Does your elite pack have any single alphas? Ethan thought for a moment. A few. What kind are you looking for? 8-pack abs. Sarah said without hesitation. He has to have an 8-pack. I couldn't help but laugh. Sarah, you're so boy crazy. What boy crazy? Sarah said, completely unapologetic. I have the right to choose. And this time, I'm choosing for myself. No fated mate nonsense. So how many do you want? Ethan asked. How many what? Alphas, Ethan said with a straight face. I can introduce you to 18 of them. Sarah's eyes lit up. Really? Of course. Watching them talk, I suddenly felt a wave of happiness. This was the life I wanted. With my best friend, with the person I loved. No deceit, no schemes, just honesty and openness. Ethan, I tugged his sleeve. Let's go home. Okay, he said, taking my hand. Home. As we were walking out of the warehouse, Sarah suddenly said, Oh, Ivy, I forgot to tell you something. What is it? Your alpha, she pointed at Ethan, said he'd introduce me to 18 single alphas with 8-packs. I looked at Ethan. Really? Really, Ethan nodded. I'm a man of my word. Sarah jumped up excitedly. Awesome. Then I'll go get ready. Ready for what? To pick an alpha, of course. Sarah winked. I'm going to start my happy life. Seeing Sarah so overjoyed, I couldn't help but ask, Sarah, can I compete fairly with my bestie? Compete for what? The 8-pack alphas. Sarah stared at me wide-eyed. Ivy, you already have Ethan. But I want to check if other alphas' 8-packs feel as good as Ethan's. Ethan's face instantly darkened. Ivy. I stuck my tongue out at him. Just kidding. Your alpha said he'd introduce me to 18 single alphas with 8-packs, so you two better get back to your room, Sarah said, laughing. Watching Sarah and Ethan bicker, I couldn't help but smile. This was the life I wanted. Freedom, happiness, and love. I touched the little life in my belly. Sweetheart, when you're born, there's going to be a very interesting world waiting for you, and a dad who loves you very much, and an Auntie Sarah who will tell you stories. We're all going to be very happy,